Hello everyone, I'm Chris Baird, Center Star, and it's been over 24 hours since the sighting, and I held off on doing this kind of slowed down version of what happened yesterday. It was just quick reactions after getting home out of the car, measuring the feather. So I want to talk to you about the feather first. I kept looking for eagles and all kinds of birds and wasn't finding a match, but today a guy came up with a bird I didn't even think of. He said, I believe that that's a raven feather, and his name is Robert Mackey. I told him I'd give him a shout out. I went and I looked, and to my disappointment, but it's perfect. It's accurate. This is definitely a raven feather. So, in the top link of the description, I'm going to post a link to the picture of the raven feather that matches this, like, perfectly online, but because it's copyrighted material, I'm not going to put it in the thumbnail. I'll just use the original thumbnail from yesterday or something else. So, that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. I wish it had been the eagle feather, but it's not. So, I want to tell you in detail what exactly happened. A little bit more slowed down so that people understand the sighting. Basically, we're doing some cleaning. I went out to take a break, and when I was outside, there was a big, huge shadow went across the street, up over my car, and up over the roof behind me. So I went west, and this is where I was facing, was west. I went west to the end of my driveway, turned around, and was looking east, up towards actually the sun, because it was about 11 o'clock. So it was in, if you say the 12 o'clock is the middle of the sky, it was at the 11 o'clock east position. And a huge white bird was coming from the south, where there's a field out behind us, and heading towards the north. And I knew right away what it was, because there was no other bird that I've seen like it, except for in 2004 when I saw the other one. And I'm also going to post a link in the description about that and talk to you a little bit about that. So I ran in, called my sons. I said, boys, come out here quick if you guys want to see the Thunderbird. And my older son Tristan came out first, and at this point it was just slightly to our north, still doing small circles, but really trying to look at that field behind, like it was being pulled to the north. At the same time, it didn't want to go south, and this will make sense later when you hear the rest of the story. So then Ronald came out, and at the point that Ronald came out, or just before it, the bird did this kind of pull up thing where, like eagles do when they're going to dive or adjust, and it just did that pull up, and I'm like, is it going to dive down? But then it flattened out, and it did another small circle almost in the same spot. And at this point, that's when my brain went, phone, I need to record. I'm like, oh crap, boys, is my phone inside? And I started feeling my pockets, and I found it in my pocket on my shorts. Pulled it out, got to get it, the screen on, got to get into the camera, got to turn it from picture to video. By the time I do this, the bird's out of sight to the north. And I'm like, oh man, I just kicked myself in the butt. Now what we saw was a white eagle all underneath, okay? Except for at the tips of the wings, not just the body and part way through the wings, the whole wings, except for the tip feathers around. It was completely white. The tips were black, completely black. All right, kind of squared off, like a bald eagle, but way too big to be a bald eagle. It was about 15 feet, if not up to 18 feet in width. Length was about 10 feet. But that pales in comparison to the 2004 sighting that I had. And when you listen to that, you'll understand more about that sighting. Again, I'll link that in the description. It's an interview I did for Spectral Wolfpack Paranormal on YouTube with Alex. And so, excuse me. Anyways, I'm like, maybe we can go and we can try to and the bird had an orange beak, just so you know, orange. So I was like, maybe we can go and we can try to chase this thing down. And so I went, quickly locked the door, and I'm like, boys, let's go. Because they were just kind of standing there in awe still. Had to unlock the car. We had to get in, get the car started, get the windows down because it was hot, and get our seatbelts on. And then I had to drive south in the neighborhood to turn around and go back north to start chasing the bird. And then we've got the main street and it's kitty corners. I had to wait for a perfect opening. You know, a couple minutes has gone by, and the boys are still seeing the bird though. I don't have the greatest eyes. Plus, I'm driving, I'm focusing, and I'm relying on them to tell me what's going on with the bird. And Tristan and Ronald said it's flying up higher, and there's 2 other big birds up there, Dad. So that's what I was talking about earlier. I believe that this thing wanted to still look at something that was in the field, but Mom and Dad bird were way up high in elevation, and they were way up high because they're big birds and they don't want to be seen. Okay, I've seen tons of these shadows in this neighborhood before, right across the road when I'd go to get the boys from their school when it was over there, and I'd hop out of the car hoping to see the Thunderbird, but I couldn't see anything with the sun and everything, and these birds being white underneath, you can't see them at really high elevations very well. There is a video of 2 white birds that are similar from migrating to the northeast during July, I believe it was, last year. So this isn't unusual. It was about this time last year for these birds to start migrating north. So yeah, you know, we're driving down the road, and Tristan's seeing this, and then Ronald saying they're on my side, and then Tristan saying they're on my side. And when he said they were on his side, I saw this jet, like, black streak shoot down in the neighborhood, and I kept going, and Tristan's like, they're definitely on my side. So I turned left into this cul-de-sac right about the area where I saw that streak. And when I did, I got out, I looked up, I couldn't see him anywhere. I don't have the greatest eyes anymore. Never did. I mean, I can see stuff like when the Thunderbird was over the house, but not like way up high in elevation. They can see stuff. You know how kids are. When you're little, you're like, there's a plane, and your parents will be like, no, there isn't. Yeah, there is. Okay. So anyways, I was like, where's the eagle, guys? And they're like, I can't see it anymore. So I went to turn the car around, and that's when I saw the feather. And so I saw this guy just rolling around on the ground all fresh. And so I assumed that maybe what I thought I saw wasn't what I saw, which was the bird diving down, was probably just this feather falling. And so I thought it was an eagle feather, and darn, it's not, but that's okay. And I really appreciate Robert Mackey for identifying it for me. And so again, special shout out to him. And again, it's okay to be wrong. It's better to admit when you're wrong than to try to force it. I could have been like, oh, you're wrong, and ignored the evidence right in front of my face that he was presenting me, and been stiff-nosed and said it's an eagle feather, but I'm not like that. So at this point, we've completely lost it. When we were heading out, Ronald saw him off to the northeast side, and my brain was telling me they were probably headed up to the northwest, following kind of in the same distance from the mountains. But if they were up at higher elevation at that point anyways, it would have been hard to see, or higher altitude, as they say. We're at high elevation up here. So we went to the northeast, further away from the mountains. We didn't have any luck, so we drove home, and then we did the impressions video and put that up yesterday. So that's the update. That's what we saw. And I hope you enjoy the links in the description and the original sighting. And so it's wonderful that I've had the opportunity to see these birds twice in my life. And I'm still excited about having a raven feather, because ravens are pretty rare. So awesome. And I'll be excited to share with the boys tomorrow that it's not the eagle feather. I mean, they may be like bummed out, but it's okay. They still have the memory of what they saw. So anyways, that's it, stars, and I appreciate you guys, and I'll be starting to do some teaching videos soon. When the boys go back to school, I'll probably have more time to do that. So, anyways, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Peace.